Hey there, little buddies, and welcome to yet another edition of the Boob Tube Buddies podcast, in which we'll be discussing Twin Peaks: The Return, Part 11. I am Mothman, and I'm joined by Devin. I don't have a clever pun or anything. I mean, I guess you're the black hobo to my swirling black lodge entrance.
You should have called me the cherry in your pie.
Oh, yeah.
Nice and dirty.
Nice and dirty and a lot more flattering. How are you, sir?
Doing fine. How are you, buddy?
Good. It's been too long. You've been busy with work and school, and I have a new dog and also work, and we rotate the Twin Peaks co-host just because it's such a long series. I don't think it ends until September. So anyway.
Yeah, missing chatting with you about that crazy episode it left me wanting to record and discuss, and which would have probably turned into a 3-hour discussion. I'm sure.
The birth of Bob and the new the birth of the death of man, basically through the nuclear proliferation and all that. Yeah,
good times
indeed. So, you know what? Before we get too far into it, I do just want to let people know that we have a sponsor. I think we have them for another week or so. And I'm just going to read a little bit of copy. Spiders Will Eat Your Face. Available on Amazon Prime, Instant Watch, and amzn.to. Spiders Will Eat Your Face. The documentary about the history of pet tarantulas in America. That is, Spiders Will Eat Your Face. The movie on Amazon. Anyway, it's on Amazon Prime. If you got it, you can stream it now. If you like history, you like animals, you like spiders, definitely worthwhile. So, now that we got that out of the way, I think it's time for a little bit of weird news. We haven't done news segments in ages, and we are the fathers of the news segment on Boob Tube Buddies. I don't know if you realize that.
Are we?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We are pioneers, and
Yes.
we got to keep it going. We birthed this, and we have to cultivate it, and we got to make sure it grows.
Yes, and the Boob Tube Buddies retrospective book that comes out in 10 years, it'll be like the first time something up in a tweet happened, the first time news happened, and you are part of that. So I'm going to kick us off with one, which is a fairly interesting one, which is that this dude goes out to take the trash out, feels like a sting, like obviously that he was bit. Like, you get stung by a wasp or bit by something and you kind of slap it off. And within like an hour, it went from like hurting and burning to like his entire arm being covered in these gross bruises. This is actually on Huffington Post. The guy lives in Phoenix, and you can look at these photos online. But the reason I thought it was appropriate is one, they don't know what caused it. So there is speculation that it's this thing called a camel spider, or at least that's what he believes. The doctors don't know. But in an episode where we essentially get a zombie and this guy's arm looks like a zombie arm, I thought it was a little bit appropriate.
It reminds me of a spider bite that I had seen online. It was and I want to say brown recluse, but I know that's not it. But it was of a bite that would just dissolve flesh, and so this dude, he basically, this one little bite just caused his arm to fall off. Disgusting.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
spiders will eat your face.
Yes, exactly. That's also why it's appropriate. All right, what do you got?
So this long age-old discussion about who would win in a battle has finally been answered thanks to Sergei Hell Dracoon headquarters using a simulator called Epic Battle Simulator. We have finally seen the answer to the age-old question: who would win in a fight? 60,000 medieval soldiers or 300 Jedis?
Okay. And Jedis win.
Yeah, it takes about 30 minutes, but Jedi's just clean through these 60,000 soldiers. It's a lot of fun to watch if you want to dig through it and scrub through it. It's just basically a whole bunch of very colorful lightsabers just plowing through this huge, what looks like a Braveheart field of animated soldiers just dying.
That is ridiculous and does sound incredibly fun to check out. And I'm going to apologize. I'm mostly over my cold, but I still have a cough. I'm also going to warn you that our new dog is kind of neurotic. We're switching medications because he has anxiety. he's in his crate, he may yelp. Obviously, if he gets too bad, I'll just stop. But if you just hear a random animal at some point, apologies in advance. All right, here's my last news story, and then we'll get into our next segment, which is that Italian bank robbers robbed a bank because they're bank robbers, but they were doing it with Trump masks on.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it's like there's a picture of like one of the police holding up the two masks, and then like all the stuff in evidence, and it's just funny because it reminds me of like Point Break and what's that other movie where they all wear the
Dead presidents or something?
Maybe it's Dead Presidents, and then also just thinking about the bank heist at the beginning of Dark Knight where they're wearing like the clown masks. But what I heard though that was pretty interesting is that the robbers are concerned that the media is going to downplay the amount of money they stole. Hey-o! Nice. All right, anyway. Moving on to our next segment, the famous, award-winning, and just universally renowned Summon It Up in a Tweet.
Oh yeah, we're summon it up, so summon it up, summon it up, oh yeah, we're summon it up, oh yeah, we're summon it up, so summon it up, summon it up and up.
Tweet.
All right, I don't know, how confident are you in yours? Do you want to go first, or do you need to close this out? 'Cause it's better?
It doesn't rhyme. I'm not too proud of it. I'll go first.
Okay, how about it?
All right. Never was a return, but how we return. 11 episodes in, and we are late for dinner. But at least someone's finally bringing some damn good pie.
Nice. Not too bad. I mean, it's summing it up in a tweet, which, there's nothing wrong with that.
Just straight average.
That's kind of what I do.
That's a real good B+ effort there, buddy.
Man, no, A for effort. Anyway, what was the phrase that Diane got texted the prior episode about dinners?
Conversations lively around the dinner table, if I recall. Something along those lines.
I wonder if that is the dinner table that Cooper's at. I just now thought about that.
Oh.
Interesting. All right, you ready for mine?
Yeah.
Also doesn't rhyme, but whatever. The portal to the lodge is finally discovered. Can coffee and pie finally bring back Cooper? Shellie, it seems, is dating a villain, and someone really needs to get home for dinner.
Nice.
And that was Summon It Up in a Tweet. All right, so we haven't talked in a while. How are you feeling overall about the show? 11 episodes in, 7 more to go.
I think I'm finally coming to terms with this is not going to be what I wanted.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I threw it in the tweet. And, it takes a little bit of kind of looking at it and saying, okay, I see what we're doing and I see why. And it takes some other people's opinions and reading up on online to see, okay, so this isn't, it literally is about, the whole 18 episodes are going to be about getting to the point that we thought that this was all going to start out at. And it's just, I'm enjoying it, obviously. And I like digging through it. But I'm starting to question David Lynch's sanity even further when he says that he pictures this as an 18-hour-long movie to watch all at once.
Right? Yeah, no. In general, I've really, really enjoyed it. The only stuff that became too much, but then I also think they throttled back and have done so throughout, is the Dougie stuff.
Yeah.
But, it's working on a lot of levels for me, but it very much, like, I didn't really expect it to feel like traditional Twin Peaks. I mean, it's 25 years later. David Lynch has done some very interesting and strange films since. Obviously, some interesting and strange stuff from the beginning. In many ways, a lot of episodes of Twin Peaks have always felt like some of his most normal, outings. But
yeah,
this episode, overall, I really dug. I mean, I just love the fact that they... take Matthew Lillard's character, Bill or whatever, finally go out to this place. He's, it's still intense and he's freaking out. They see this, ashen hobo type character that we've seen tear apart Mr. C. And, we've seen the ghosts of them, after the first nuclear blast. And then to see this portal open and something kind of come from it and just explode the dude's head. Like that whole scene, I loved, and the fact that Gordon Cole was basically about to go into it, and Albert takes him back. Like they found the entrance.
Yeah. It's the one thing that gets me. It's great that, as I'm stumbling my words here. So the thing that concerns me is that we've got like 7 episodes left, right?
Sure.
And the end of season 2 was Coop. They found the lodge and they got in. And look at what came from that. 25 years of nothing. We're returning, and Coop's a shell of a man. So the 2 guys that are actually fighting, or 3 folks that are actually fighting this, if they do get into the lodge, who's to say they're going to fix this, beat this, or, come out? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, go into this portal, and now you're going to be stuck in the lodge, and then maybe we'll see you again in another 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a mysterious and unsatisfying conclusion.
Yeah.
The original series had. Cooper is essentially Bob, and you don't know what's going to happen. At the same time, the fact that there are so many people now that are finding the entrance. So you have, Bobby, Hawk, and Truman, who now know how to get to the entrance, and that's going to be the actual entrance that Cooper went through, right, in the woods. They have found this other entrance, which you wonder, is that the Black Lodge that Cooper found? Is this possibly the White Lodge or something different? And then you also have this New York building where they have seen Mr. C, they have seen Dale, and they have seen that creature without the eyes, all in the same room. So my perception of it is that people are finding out almost with some kind of scientific accuracy how to access this and understand it, and maybe put Bob to rest finally. But you're right. Like, I don't know where it's going to go once they get in. But to me, I guess that's part of the intrigue and the thrill of the show.
Yeah. And you've got, the great thing about it is when you go episode by episode, you've got all these theories of what's going to happen. And I definitely have a few in my mind of how much foreshadowing is kind of put on. I don't want to kind of throw it out there and then be wrong.
Yeah.
But one of the things I found interesting, and I was reading some theories online, is just as much as they're trying to get into the lodge, there's people coming out of it. And so one of the theories that's been going on is that Laura is coming back through Candy because she's so distant and actually kind of similarly looks like her. So that's one of these things where it's like, and they're both kind of coming together at the same time. And that's kind of in a form of all these different things. We saw that with the dancing dwarf. You'll see me in 25 years, but I won't be the same. So there's a lot of these theories kind of going around, and I just, with all of Lynch's stuff, you just got to go along for the ride.
Well, yeah, because we know that like golden orb of Laura is seemingly coming back, just like, Bob is still here.
Right.
Oddly enough, and I've talked about this before, but oddly enough, the Laura orb looks like Laura, the Bob orb looks like Bob, yet Bob never looks like Bob when he's actually on the earth unless you kind of have that power, which makes me think is like what happened in Twin Peaks and like all the like energy around it and just the general weirdness of the town and the history. Did it create kind of like this antithesis to Bob, like this new moral character, not something that's over eons and generations, but something that's newly born. And when she died, especially at the hands of Bob, the energy made this, and it's also part of her return to good versus evil, take out Bob, all that good stuff. So it'll be, that's kind of I have commented on how weird Candy is, so that would definitely make some sense in all of this.
It's hard to sit there and tell what is purposeful and what's just throwaway, and I think that ends up being one of the things that that's why you just gotta literally, it's almost counterintuitive, but it's just, you have to watch it and not formulate opinions, which doesn't make for a good podcast, but.
Well, no, I mean, it's fun. It is fun to speculate, but it's also, even Westworld was like this. I mean, they have the rules of the game are such that, there aren't clear clues. I mean, plenty of people guessed a lot of the big twists in Westworld, but at the same time, they could easily have had it be any of other 10 twists because anyone could be a robot. So, like, it's set up in a way where there's so much weirdness in a show like this, and there is so much in the way of meaningless stuff that's just kind of meant to be a dreamscape, and then there's also stuff that's supposed to be deeply twined and thematic. Yeah, that it's a pointless game, but at the same time, I think that's what makes a show like this interesting, is seeing what individually people infer. It's kind of like listening to instrumental music and then talking to someone about like the emotions they feel, because it really just becomes personal at that point. Nothing's spelled out for you, which I don't know, it doesn't make for like commercially successful and accessible television, that's for sure, but like it definitely makes for a fun ride for those that are down for it. So a few other things obviously happened this episode, one of which is, like, we haven't seen, I think his name's Mr. Red, but he is the drug kingpin that does magic tricks and sent Richard Horn on his way, which then he accidentally ran over the kid, and he, I guess, is dating Shellie and shows up very quickly just for a hug. Like, it's such a throwaway scene, but that's one of the things I expect to really play out these next 7 episodes, is the Meacham plot is kind of not resolved, but played out. We kind of know their context and the larger stuff that's been going on. They were going to kill Cooper, but now the inventory claim is actually in their favor because Cooper has realized that Frank was, fixing the books. Of course, he didn't really realize any of this. He just scribbled on paper because the Black Lodge told him to. But he's kind of this savior figure to the insurance company and all these other things. So that's worked itself out, but I'm like curious where that plot point's going to go. And then, of course, Richard Horn, the girl that we thought he killed previously, is found by those kids.
Right. I mean, everything's been slowly kind of going back to Twin Peaks, and I think that'll be the end of the show, is we're finally getting everything focused back there. And I think Mr. Red, him hugging Shellie, ends up just being this nice symbol that, hey, we keep doing the same stupid shit over and over and over again. And
dating bad guys.
Yeah, she had such a huge, she with, oh God, what was her husband's name? Can't remember.
Bobby?
Bobby. Well, no, because that's, he's the cop, right? Who was the trucker from season 1 that then became the
yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. God, what is his name?
What is his name?
I know what you're talking about, though.
He had so many. Them
Leo?
dragging him around. Leo. Him dragging him around season 2 was some of the funniest stuff.
Yeah, and spoon feeding him.
But she sits there, and I think that hug really sets up this kind of perpetual state of just doing the dumb shit over and over and over again. So now her daughter is doing it herself, and not only that, I saw up online when reading someone else's stuff, the girl that is with her husband in the hallway while she's shooting up the hall was actually the same girl that was the ballerina at the piano recital after Laura's funeral in the house. They do this little kind of ballerina recital thing. That little girl.
Oh, that's funny.
The girl with her husband in the hallway hiding from being shot.
That's funny. I didn't know that. It's a good
So
catch.
it gives this kind of overall just cyclical just shit over and over and over again, and no matter what you do, no one seems to want to get the gold shovel to dig themselves out of the shit. They just keep doing it over and over again. So we're slowly returning back to Twin Peaks, and everyone's still in shit.
Well, let's take this moment to throw to our next segment, Brookie Ain't So Shy, where he is going to talk about some themes, especially since he thought 11 was going to be this next crazy episode, and let's see if he felt it lived up to the expectations, and then we will be right back.
Player 3 has entered the game.
All right, we are here with Brookie Shy, who has long been anticipating episode 11 and been talking about how fantastic it was. So, what did you think?
Like I was saying last week that I had this feeling once I saw that it was going to be 18 episodes instead of the original 9, that I knew that Mark Frost and Lynch, like, they're tied in with the esotericism, especially Mark Frost. So 11 is a number associated with magical increase. And I thought that from the very beginning of this episode, you just see everything explode outwards. It's been building up, and it just begins with Miriam crawling out of the woods, and from there it just launches forward like full force, and it's great. I thought it was wonderful. Before we get into like the deeper stuff, I just wanted to lay out how, like, to me, how gratifying it was to see like Amanda Seyfried be an actual proactive woman and grab a gun and go after an abusive man. Like, it's such a rarity in like Twin Peaks to actually see like a woman take action.
Sure,
and
true.
Like a lot of people have been like, man, she's crazy, she's acting crazy. I was like, do you not remember that dude screaming in her face and spitting on her in episode 10? Like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
So if anyone deserved it, I mean, I'm not here to say like go and do like the guy in South Africa who shot his wife behind the door, like the Blade Runner guy. But that was pretty great. But as far as like the magic and esotericism, there's a lot in this episode. 11 in the tarot is justice. And I think we see 2 different forms of initiation and judgment in this episode. And it's weird because 11 is like the double phallus. It's like 2 men. So you see 2 forms of judgment, one which is obviously a negative judgment, one at the end, positive judgment. So what threw me for a complete loop is when Cole, Albert, Tammy, Bill Hastings, and Mackley, they all go to the abandoned lot to find the coordinates for where Hastings say him and Ruth Davenport entered the zone, right?
Yeah.
And it seems strange at first. It's one of these Lynchian liminal spaces that it has this evocative feel to it, but it seems so normal and dirty and degraded that there's this weird moment where they pull up and they ask him, is this the place, right? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, how do we go in there? And he says, there's a hole in the fence, right? Like, I mean, for FBI agents, they should know this. It seems like sort of a tossed off thing, but the way the scene plays out, it's almost like a Freemasonic initiation ceremony, because Cole and Albert enter and Tammy guards the gate. In this situation, Tammy is the Tyler in Freemasonry. A Tyler is he's a guard, a ceremonial guard who provides ritual vestments and protection from the profane from entering into the lodge while meetings are going on, while initiation ceremonies are going on, which is strange because it's a chain link fence. You can see what's going on, and we have objective perspective later on, a wide crane shot where it seems as if everything is normal with the exception of Gordon Cole raising his hands in the air. Mm-hmm. But inside the fence, it is really it's a temple of sorts. It leads to a vortex, a space deep into understanding and deep metaphysical insights. And what struck me going back to 11's is it's Gordon and Cole walking in. Both of them have guns, the phallus symbol, and against ghosts and goblins, a gun really isn't going to do anything. It's
sure.
Extra metaphysical heightening. And if you notice, Albert's in a light tan suit, and Gordon is in his uniform, the black suit. This is, in my opinion, a call to the 2 pillars of King Solomon's temple, Boaz and Yakin, which are in the Masonic tracing board. They teach you in the entered apprentice rite when you have your tracing board that the black column represents the lunar female side of emotions. This is Cole, and the white, the lighter side represents the higher intelligent, the male energy, which is Albert, which plays off. If you think about it, Albert's a very logical, masculine type person, and
Sure.
Cole, despite Lynch himself being like a bit of a fuddy-duddy when it comes to women, he's very in tuned and evocative with the way he treats women.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise to me that Cole is the one who receives the call from the vortex, and when the sky opens and all that, and it beams up the stairwell to the three woodsmen, or I would say they're sort of like emissaries from the lodge.
Sure.
We see between their legs the same wallpaper design that we see in Fire Walk with Me when Laura enters into the dream picture that the Chalfont's grandmother gave her.
Oh, okay.
In this scene, the person that is being judged in this initiation ceremony is Bill Hastings. Now, when he and Ruth Davenport first approached the zone, they were doing it out of curiosity. They were in love, and they weren't taking it seriously. Anyone with a true interest in esotericism would never openly advertise it on a blog where people would publicly, be able to look at it. The fact that it's so easily found out about, like the Search for the Zone website, means that it was more of a lark, like a lover's quest for them. They weren't taking it very seriously, and as a result, Ruth Davenport died. And soon after, Cole is pulled back from his sort of metaphysical inquiry with the sky. They finally find the body of Ruth Davenport headless. And this is the ultimate judgment that, in my opinion, that Bill Hastings' desire, his folly, led to the death of his lover. And in that moment, that is when the woodsman sneaks from behind and caves his skull in. He has failed his initiation ceremony. Now, what's interesting in Freemasonry, when an apprentice is set before a lodge and they vote on whether he'll be allowed to continue his rites and further up the scale in Freemasonry, they vote by balls. And if there is a single black ball, then you are declined. You are not allowed to reach further. And that is like almost a complete call forward for Bob. Bob is sent down in a black ball.
What does a gold ball mean in Freemasonry, like Laura?
I don't see. I am not a Freemason.
Oh, okay. You haven't learned that secret yet.
No, my paternal grandfather, 32nd degree Freemason, and my little brother and my bandmate, he's a 3rd degree Master Mason.
Ooh, okay.
But I haven't, knocked on the door and asked yet. But that's just interesting to me,
Sure.
that all these things that William Hastings fails the test. He wasn't taking it seriously enough with a pure enough heart that he's cast out, he's destroyed. And Tammy is sitting out there guarding what is basically an opaque frame from the profane. In this case, in my opinion, that is Diane. She may seem like she knows the mysteries, but she is using it towards a negative end. She's twisting the secrets of the Black Lodge, the White Lodge, the Lodge, period, to her own ends by working with Mr. C, the bad Cooper. And I just think I was watching it with my brother, and we burst out laughing when Agent Mackley just goes, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
Oh my God! That, I don't know why, just the way that dude said it, it just broke me up, dude. I mean, it's horrible to laugh at a dude's head getting like smashed in, but I mean, that to me was even more funny than Cooper saying he's dead.
Yeah. And then the question, like the conversation later, when they're just kind of casually talking about it, he's like, "Well, I was in the car. I didn't see someone go in the car." Like, he's just so matter of fact about things.
Well, and the way that that Diane feels that the need to she didn't have to mention that she saw a spirit or saw what Cole and Albert are talking about. She brought it up to sort of like fudge the what would be the right word? Muddy the waters, not. I was about to say fudge the water. That's terrible. But sort of muddy the water of inquiry, which is, and most people in the mystery school would say that's what the profane do. It's sort of they twist metaphysical secrets and lie to the public about it, which is sort of, I mean, for now the role that Diane is taking. Now, see, there's two initiations in this episode, and that mirrors the double man. And the second one occurs at the end of the episode when Dougie's let out into the desert, right? The framing of the shot, when he gets out of the limousine and Jim Belushi and Robert Knepper are facing each other, arguing about whether or not they can kill this man themselves, while Kyle MacLachlan's standing in the middle holding a box, which in Freemasonic symbolism would be the capstone, the stone that the builder refused. He's basically holding a square. He's holding a box in the middle, and framed on the both of them, if you look at it, is a black car and a white car. Oh. It's again mirroring the pillars of Boaz and Yakin.
Gotcha.
Now, Cooper, whether he remembers it or not, he has already been initiated into the mysteries. He spent 25 years in the lodge. He's been tormented. He's had all of his emotions rubbed down to a fine surface, where he's basically like he's sort of like a reflecting pool. You know, he reflects like the intentions of others off of him.
Sure. And
through his guileless nature, and his guileless nature almost makes him sort of like an elevated person in a sense. It allows him to pass through the gates of the lodge and to survive when they realize that the dream was correct. He has a cherry pie in the box, which was another huge laugh when the dude pulls out a gun and says, what is it? Tell me that's a cherry pie in that box or whatever. Like,
yeah,
what?
It is a cherry
What?
pie.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That is so fun. And speaking of magic, you know, on a lighter note, I mean, I got to give Lynch some credit on some magical thing, and this is for the magical act that this is the first time I've ever seen Jim Belushi and not hated him in a role. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I've read the David Cross book where he talks about his first role was like working on a film with Jim Belushi and how he's like a complete egomaniacal jackass, you know?
Oh, really? No, I haven't read the David Cross book. I just never seen him in anything I like, basically.
Oh my God, dude. After we get off, I'll send you an audiobook clip about the chapter about Jim Belushi, man. And he's a complete jerk, you know?
Gotcha.
But to make him into like an actual lovable person, you know, who can pull off comedic and a little bit of serious acting in this is a little bit of a magical act.
Sure.
So with these two initiations framing the episode, there's all sorts of like magical things bursting forth. You have Bobby with the child elevating out of the boot of the car.
Yeah.
You have the woman. What's her name? Gosh, it slipped off the tip of my tongue. No, it's not Margaret. The lady that Richard Horn beat nearly to death, who crawls out of the woods.
Oh yeah, I don't remember her name, but yeah.
It begins with an M. It was on the tip of my tongue, and I almost said it at the beginning, but I'll remember it probably after we get off. But just these things, and then Hawk's very important sit down with the twin Truman, where he lays a map, and it's an old map, but it's always current, you know, and it contains all these symbolic markers.
Sure.
Right. This is similar to a Masonic tracing board that they give to entered apprentices to learn catechisms and symbols that allows them to rise to fellowcraft and to master masonry. Now, it's interesting that they talk about black corn, a certain type of fire, a fire that depends on the what is the exact phrasing? The intention of the person who reaches it.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, it in magic is a reflection of your inner self. Your emotions, thoughts, and actions permeate out from yourself and come back to you. And that's what we see with Bill Hastings and Dougie Coop. It's just a very kinetic episode. I really liked it.
Me too.
Before I forget, Carl Rod's magical summoning of the VW van with his tin flute.
That was hilarious, dude.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Almost like the old legends of Hermes Trismegistus.
I thought a horse was going to show up and they were going to ride away into the sunset, but I thought the VW was pretty cool too.
In a sense, it does, because his van is almost like a sedan chair. He has the walkie-talkie. He has all the amenities that a royal person who's respected within his community has. You know, I thought it was fantastic. I've pretty much given up predicting anything.
I know, right? That's what we talk about throughout this episode. Is like, what's the point, almost? You know.
Yeah, it's just watching great things happen. I think the only thing that kind of bums me out is seeing Shellie with red, man. I mean,
yeah, just for a split second. Yeah.
For me, it's sort of a personal thing, man, because ever since I watched the first season, I've always had a huge crush on Matchin' and Mick, man.
Yeah,
beautiful,
you and me both.
Beautiful woman. Oh God, those eyebrows. Oh my goodness. But that's enough conspiracy talk for the evening. I think we'll cut it out, and then I'll see you next week, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. As always, some really good, cool, thematic, insightful stuff. And I think you take the right approach to analyzing Twin Peaks, which is not to guess stuff, but more just read into what we've already seen and kind of dissect it. So thanks again, man.
Absolutely, man. So mote it be, little buddies.
Player 3 has left the game.
And we are back. Thank you so much, Brookie Brookie, for continuing to be on the show, drop some knowledge, and really dig in. Always appreciated. We'll see you next week. At this point, I would like to discuss I don't know about. I almost said the weirdest part of this episode. It may be, which is the kid that actually shoots the gun in the diner, and then there's the traffic stop, and that lady will not stop honking. You're just like, Jesus Christ, lady, you clearly see cops. What is going on? And then eventually Bobby goes over there, and she has to get to dinner.
She's late. She's late.
Yeah, she's late for dinner. And then
the girl is super sick.
And the theme of dinner, right? Cooper and the Meachams have dinner, and Diane got that text about dinner. He's late for dinner, or she's late for dinner. She's screaming at the top of her lungs, and casually kind of mentions that her daughter's ill, and then her daughter is like a straight-up zombie, coughing up similar green pus to what Mr. C coughed up when he was having to return to the Black Lodge.
I don't know if it was just me, but the silhouette of the girl slowly sitting up kind of reminded me of 11, and I almost thought for a second you were getting some weird, random, cool, cross cameo thing.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, dude, there's no way that they would have shot that soon.
Yeah, no,
so
exactly.
I was just left disappointed.
Sure. But I mean, I don't know. Once again, we said this earlier, but it's is this just to give weird thematic elements to dinner? Is there something to this? I mean, is this how those ashen creatures start? You know what I mean? I have no idea what to make of this, but it's a decent amount of time is spent on it.
Yeah, I think what it is they're just everyone's, because you see it with the OneArmed Man with the cherry pie. Obviously, there is, when he guides Dougie into the bakery, there's obviously seems to be an external guidance of the living world. I mean, we saw that all through season 1 and especially season 2.
Sure.
And so this very much could be a physical embodiment of someone's rushing to some place that some large battle is going to be. But then again, it could just be a whole bunch of nothing. It could just be a girl puking in a front seat and freaking the shit out of her mom.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. So
one of the things.
Go ahead.
One of the things I thought was interesting was right after they show the repeating thing with Shellie and her daughter. So the boy who shoots the gun, they make sure to focus on the little boy, pretty much standing in the same way with a camo shirt on, and then the camera cuts over between Bobby and then over to the other dad, pretty much sitting the same damn way with the same damn look on his face with the same damn camo shirt. So they were really pushing that whole kind of, we just keep repeating this even if it is through our offspring.
Oh, okay. And then you also have, I'm trying to remember what Shelleys daughter's name is, but she obviously takes the car. She, her mom leaves work abruptly. She steals the mom's car to go after the boyfriend that she loves to hate, and just shoots into his room, and he's down there with some other girl. I guess she realized he was with a girl, and that's why she was mad, and then that leads to them having that diner conversation. But I love, I think his name's Harry Dean Stanton, the old dude that picks Shellie up and drives her back, and he just has coffee and cigarettes and a little table. It's like a little diner inside his car, and he has a ham radio. And then I love how he patches into the Twin Peaks Police Center, and I just love the whole like ridiculous retro contraption patch board to take those calls. And I'm like, man, do they have that big of a police force to have that many calls and that many? All right, someone's on your way. All right, someone's on your way. All right, someone's on the way. It was like, my God, it's like New York City Police Department.
I thought it was interesting that that's one of the things I notice every single episode is it definitely seems like the police department has gotten larger since season 1 and 2. I mean, they've hired on more people because like before it used to be like this little kind of backwater town.
Sure.
And they just kind of had the local sheriff. Now it seems like I have a full-on police force.
Yeah, and I would get that it's grown, but like being that you've seen Chad and like maybe 3 other officers, I almost feel like I've seen, plus the lady that does the patchboard, I feel like I've basically seen the whole staff, and it still doesn't seem enough for that many people to be. But I don't know, maybe it's just like a hub, and they're sending different smaller departments out on missions and stuff,
I mean, it's so busy they can't get the furniture that they've been looking at.
I know. It's true.
I don't know why we're looking at furniture. We never go home.
That's true. You've never seen their home. I kind of just want to see their son again.
Yeah, that was one of the best monologues.
Just him doing a Marlon Brando impersonation. Like, oh God, so good.
He is the least suited actor for a badass biker.
I know, and they give him the little like mustache that barely grows in. It was perfect on so many levels. Fantastic.
The ride over when they do the ham radio, Shelley's like, "Can't we go any faster?" And he goes, "Yeah, I want to get there in one piece. We got to get there safe." And I'm just sitting there like that. They constantly are doing that theme throughout the last few episodes. Like, dude, we need to get there. Can we make the move? Get the move on?
Yeah, kind of like expressing how the audience feels about Dougie and some other things that go on just too long.
I wonder if Lynch has gotten himself stuck into the problem then, or either that or he's reflecting on the problem that happened with season 2, is they ordered too many episodes early on and they had to write through to hit the number of episodes rather than building the season around how much writing they had.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be a case for episodes like Showtime or possibly, Game of Thrones kind of a thing where they order beforehand. But it's funny they keep going back to it's like, dude, let's get a move on. Let's get a move on.
Yeah. Anything else? I think we covered it, right?
Yeah, unless you want to. Yeah, I just got to say this because I wasn't on the last episode. That sex scene with Dougie last episode.
Oh God, yeah,
so hard.
So funny. The hands flailing. His like he has this one face for joy. Like it's the coffee face, it's the cherry pie face, it's the sex face. That is just fantastic. And him enjoying pie and drinking champagne, even though he keeps trying to grab their glass. Like they found a way now, I think, to basically just make the Dougie gags not go on too long, be primarily driven by the characters you know and slightly are interested around him, and then just use him as a comedic slapstick relief. I was really hoping, though, like once he took a sip of coffee and with the pie, that he would just like have that like sci-fi action film like zoom into his brain, and then like you see all the cogs move, and then like everything snaps together, and then like it zooms back out and goes, Agent Dale Cooper, do you mind telling me where I'm at? You know, that type of thing, which would be so un-David Lynch, but also because it would not fit anything, it would also be very David Lynch.
Well, that's the one thing that I'm slowly kind of coming to terms with, is all I wanted was Dale Cooper, just to snap back and then get him and just have some nostalgia again. And slowly I'm coming to terms with that may not happen.
But they, at the same time,
and it can't happen if you think
David Lynch knows you want that and just gives you a tease when he beats the shit out of Ike the Spike.
Right.
You know, because like he's like, I'm confirming that he basically is Dale, but for whatever reason, just like it's not there, but like it's innate, it's subconscious, and he just has to break through. But you know, 5 episodes later, it's still not happening.
That, and I mean, we were all waiting for him to sit there and say "damn good," and he gave us that one line. Yes, it was repeating. That is,
that was good. That we at least got to hear him say it.
Yeah. So the question for you is, how sad are you going to be if you don't get Dale Cooper even on the last episode?
I don't think that'll happen.
You don't think so? You think it's going to be start a pool going? When does Dale return?
Well, I mean, it literally may be the last episode. You know, it may be that Gordon solves things. All this, even if it's like Dale dies, I think he will die as himself, coming to in some heroic moment. Like, I think we'll see the confirmed return to Twin Peaks, return of Laura, and return of Dale.
Right.
All at some point. I'm just not expecting it to be like next episode, and then we just get to see him kick ass for a bunch of episodes.
I say it's going to be super Hollywood ending. You're going to see Dale die, and then it's going to go straight to credits, and everyone's going to be super pissed. But then after the credits, you're going to see this clip of him waking up again somewhere else, and then that's supposed to solve everything.
Yeah, there we go. We'll see.
It's the Avatar ending.
Yeah, or maybe they'll just link to a larger universe and all these other shows that are going to be built around it.
Spawn off a series of 20 different spin-offs with all the most cheap but cliche directors there are.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, are you ready to tie a bone this bitch? It's been a long time. I don't know if you remember how to do it.
I threw my cheat sheet away. I can do it. Let's do it.
All right. Then do it.
We'll see you next time, little buddies.
Man, you nailed it.
Oh, damn!
It's like riding a bike.